mapton l'État vient fait. We need to stop that because the government, they don't have that much of financial capacity. So you
Agreed.
need the national budget, but you need the private sector investment, and you need the international aid. Let's not use aid. You need the international investment.
I guess hello, everyone, to another episode of Reimagining Philanthropy plus Haiti. My name is Debbie, and of course, you already know the founder of Centre NGO. And on today's episodes, we have Madame Dorine Jn Paul, who is part of the UNDP and was also part of the Ministry of Environment in Haiti. So today's conversation, we are diving into, in the age of climate change, where does Haiti fit? Madame Dorine, if you don't mind, just give us a little brief introduction about who you are and what you've been doing on the ground.
Thank you so much, Debbie, and hi to everybody listening and watching this this show. So my name is Dorine Jn Paul. I'm currently working with UNDP in Haiti. I'm working as a program specialist in climate change adaptation. And before that, I was working with the Ministry of Environment in the Directorate of Climate Change. And the work that we were doing in terms of policy, in terms of support to social work within the environmental sector was about first making sure that we do have an effective plan for environmental protection, and also working with private sector, making sure that we have a framework on carbon markets, and looking at the waste management sector and other renewable energy sector. So this is a work that we did also on the ground, as I was saying, with the local communities, where we looked at the adaptation measures, adaptation strategies, and trying to find a fit where you can have at the same time local inclusion, social inclusion, but also biodiversity protection. So from that experience with the Ministry of Environment, I moved with UNDP. It's been 10 years now. And since then, I've been working both at local level, but also international level, contributing to other work that are being done with the region of Africa and also some countries in the Caribbean.
Thank you for that beautiful introduction. And honestly, I'm just like in awe of your background as
Thank
you've
you.
done so much, and with your work with UNDP, I know we I guess like slightly mentioned that in the intro that would not be included here, which is like, could you maybe share specific details about how UNDP actually support climate related initiatives, advance in sustainable support, I guess, and advocates for climate adaptation measures in Haiti?
Sure. So UNDP, based on our mandate, we work with the communities, first community-centered activities, and also in support to institutions like Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Planning, Energy, and also Ministry of Agriculture. So the work that we have been doing in support to climate action is first working on the climate change national policy first, to have to have a clear understanding at different level of how Haiti is first of all vulnerable to climate change, and also how we can prioritize the action for better adaptation and also mitigation, even though we are not a great emitter of carbon dioxide. So beside the climate change policy, national policy, we also support the Ministry of Environment and the different other ministries to get together and develop the National Adaptation Plan that is usually called NAP. So the NAP is laying the national priorities, especially for adaptation to climate change. And it gives you also a great understanding of how different actors can contribute financially to have stronger adaptation actions on the ground. And this includes the planning, the Ministry of Planning that has an important role in everything related to territorial planning and where you find good strategies for adaptation. And also we support the National Determined Contribution, usually called NDC, which is a requirement from the engagement that every country take within the UNFCCC, the Accord de Paris, the Paris Agreement, within the UNFCCC's work. So all of these are strategic work. We as agency, we take a role first as coordination lead, but also to make sure that we have a common understanding about the financial gap that we have in terms of responding and applying climate action. So from the strategic work, we also work with the communities, and this may be another point that we can look at during the show, during the talk, to see how we work on the field doing adaptation action. You can find it in the biodiversity protection. You can find it at watershed level in terms of flood management, integrated drought management, and also the work that should and is being done in terms of risk reduction. So now we are talking about flooding, drought, sea level rise, and other things. So we can look at that further after that.
I was going to add on, like with adaptation comes implementation, and
Yeah.
being that like you guys are also working with like local grassroots organizations that are, I guess, well versed in biodiversity or ocean flooring, as well as you said, like the risk reduction of like when a flood happens, when let's say like it rains too much, especially when it comes to I know like with Port-au-Prince, it's very clustered, and when there is like a bad rain, it floods. It floods. So
Exactly.
we lack good drainage system in most parts of Haiti, as well as like you could say, I would say a good example of probably urban planning fall into OCAP, Cap Haitian, or in Jacmel, because for them I think like they were mostly thinking broader, but they weren't thinking as far as like population level actually increasing, versus
Yeah.
Port-au-Prince is more, it is centralized, but like as far as like urban planning, that one like they don't get a good score.
Exactly.
So with adaptation related to the NAP as well as the NDC, would you say that implementing some of these policies or some of these needs, are you, I guess, like, are you getting any pushback, or are there any challenges with those on the ground as well as like with the political institutions?
Yeah, during the NAP process, that's where comes the importance of good mainstreaming, through the different sectors. Because as you were saying now, you cannot have a good flood management plan without engaging with Ministry of Public Works, without engaging with EDH, because EDH producing or managing the electrical network, the electrical grids. They need to also, when you have a chance of getting a hurricane, they need to do some cutting the trees and things like that to avoid disasters that might come from that. You have the Ministry of Planning. You have all other CNGS who is working on territorial planning with the mapping. So you have all of these institutions that have to be included, and this was the special aspect that we had during the NAP process, because you do need those people and those institutions to be, first of all, aware of that and apply it. And on top of that, you have the Ministry of Finance, because there you're gonna need an appropriate budgeting that include the national adaptation priorities, the adaptation measures, because sometimes you have some business as usual budgeting where you don't find the appropriate amount that a ministry might need to make its action more adaptation or
Suitable?
oriented.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is something that is important, and the mainstreaming, and also looking at the multidimensional and integrated approach of adaptation is key, is crucial. And this is where in Port-au-Prince you're gonna look at the private sector engagement, because sometimes you need their engagement in doing leaving aside the business as usual that
Mm-hmm.
they used to do in hotelry, in this kind of thing, so they need to look at that. And it's a process. It's not even though we do have the framework, the policies and things like that, we do have a gap for financial resources. We do have
Sustainability?
that gap. We do have the gap of technology transfer. So those are the gaps that we need to look at now
Mm-hmm.
and add to everything that is already laid down by our predecessors and our current partners.
Now, I was going to also then, I guess maybe add on or maybe ask, I'm like, is there a continuation of past administration, current administration, and future administration? Because, like, yes, the NAP has been implemented and or it has been approved and acknowledged. Now, with continuation, because I do realize within our community, there's a lack of continuation.
Mhm.
How is UNDP nurturing or even further continuation of the work that you guys are doing, so that comes the next administration, so that they know the importance of climate change, the importance of, I guess, like tree planting, as well as like urban planning and everything that falls in line with climate change?
The good thing, and I commend my colleagues at technical level for that. The good thing is their engagement as technical partners.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you don't find only an engagement at the minister or the general director, but you find a great and strong engagement and participation from the technical level. And I think this is something that is really important for agencies like UNDP and others to look at and to consider when you are working with the government, is to make sure that you don't only talk with the minister, sorry, the general director. You don't only talk at that level, but you have a great group of people that will continue the work, even though at some point you're going to need a big decision to be taken, and that's going to need the decision makers.
Mm-hmm.
But the continuity and the sustainability is assured by these technical staff that are part of the ministries, and we have a good group of them. So that's a good part. Also, what I've found interesting is the work that the approach that we have taken, I would say 2 or 3 years ago, when we are designing a project, we don't look at the project as like a new thing going to the field, a
Mm-hmm.
new approach going to the field, and making it like beside that, there's nothing. So we look at first the organization, NGOs, CSOs that are already working, private sectors that think business first, because sometimes we make the mistake that where we look at environment, we look at waste as maybe an issue or something that we need to put a lot in it. But instead of that, it's better to look at it as an opportunity, as a business opportunity. So waste is business opportunity. And coming with a waste management project, first, you need to look at the organization that are already on the ground and working and making money from it. And from that, you go with the project as an addition to what they're already doing. So what that means is once you're done with your project of 5 years as an agency or as a government, you already have a grassroots of organization that sees the activities as revenue opportunity. so that give you a more sustainable approach, so that the people on the field or organization on the field don't just wait for, oh, I'm waiting for the government. We like to say that as
As a
communities.
people, yes, we do.
Yeah. I'm waiting for the government. Mapton later vin fait. We
Hmm.
need to stop that, because the government, they don't have that much of financial capacity. So you
Agreed.
need the national budget, but you need the private sector investment, and you need the international aid. Let's not use aid. You need the international investment. So you need those three to work on more sustainable projects. And that's the approach that we are taking. Waste management is an example. Biodiversity and value chain in cocoa, coffee is another example. We do that in the south, we do that in the northeast, and this project and add in addition to
Hmm.
what organization like Aitika is already doing. So Aitika is doing its business, and we look at it and we say, hey, there's an opportunity there. First of all, to make sure that the global environment facility requirement in terms of global protection of the environment, of the climate, and things like that, there's an opportunity there to make sure that they respect this, and also they have a value chain that is more sustainable and more respectful of environment. So they already have their business, it's already
Hmm.
running, but you're gonna come with the project and add some other aspect that makes it more sustainable. And guess what? After the project of 5 years, they're still gonna be there
That's
because
true.
it's their business. So you're not gonna have a vacuum after the 5 years of project.
That is true.
So that's a new approach that I've been fighting for and I've been applying. Thank God I have this opportunity with UNDP to be free of doing things with my creativity. So yeah, that's
I,
uh, that's a good point on how we do work on the
I
field.
I love that. And I mean, you've mentioned some great points as far as like waste management as well as biodiversity. And you've even I guess thank you for for actually including that, because I was going to ask you a question. Can you provide an example? And
Mhm.
which is it IT Kai?
ITK,
Ka.
they are in the value chain of cocoa.
Okay.
Mhm.
My question is somewhat related to waste management, because our community, I guess like most people within the Haitian community, we have a tendency to say that waste management is very politicized. I guess the exact word is fatra, nous toujours politiser fatra. So basically, like to handle waste
Yeah.
management, to handle trash, is very much politicized for people who don't understand. And typically, like a lot of tourists, a lot of like even diaspora, when we go back home, we usually like
Mm.
to say like, what tourism sector are you talking about? Are you referencing the country is dirty? There's trash everywhere. I'm like, yes, that is true, but at the same time, unfortunately, which I've come to understand and realize probably in 2023, where one specific group, grassroots organization, the word was is studies after studies. We have to study we have
Mm.
to study the trash. We have to measure. It's like one group who already done the study, they've used a different methodology. The new group wants to use a different their own methodology just to measure how they're going to tackle just cleaning up the trash. And
Mm.
unfortunately, we've politicized it so much that people are tired. And as I guess as someone who worked with the Ministry of Environment, you've been in the Haitian government. Um, I'm like, is that true?
I haven't seen that within ministries, but
Hmm.
sometimes on the ground with other authorities.
Hmm.
So, but it's not like I've heard that about the politics around that. But
Hmm.
what I've seen and what I've learned is how the small group of private organization can change around things, and I've seen that in For Liberté.
Hmm.
For Liberté is
Very clean. I've seen pictures.
very clean.
Yeah.
Yes, very clean, and they do have so many groups that are engaged and make sure that they keep their city clean.
Hmm.
So I think we have a way around, even though it says that they say that you have politics and things like that. I haven't seen that really in the ministries, but I
Mm-hmm.
think on the ground you have your way around with those grassroots community group. I
Mm-hmm.
think so, yeah, and definitely with the private sector because you have so many ways of uh, um, extracting revenues, getting revenues from the waste management and some other international institutions and business. They are so waiting for trash to get to buy trash or get trash from us to
Mm-hmm.
do recycling or transformation. So even though we don't have technologies, maybe very advanced technologies yet, but we do have this market where we can have we can send and sell.
Could you touch a little bit on that aspect? Because I don't believe a lot of people know that there is a market where they can sell trash, and those who do know about it, like they're very exclusive when it comes to like sharing this piece of information. So where would someone go other than Port-au-Prince? Or is
Mhm.
it only in Port-au-Prince? Like, where would someone go if they wanted to focus on waste management, but more so focus more like on the business side where they're collecting plastics that could be
Mhm.
refurbished, that could be recycled, because there are other countries that are actually buying the trash
Mhm.
for their, I guess, like clean energy initiatives.
Yeah.
Like, where would a group of people that is grassroots, or even someone who even want to be in business, where would they go?
Um, I have in mind now a group that contacted our project management team. They are
Mm-hmm.
based in Guadeloupe. We don't usually have business it's established with the dom-tom. They are interested. And because we don't have, as UNDP, we cannot like just do things like that. So say that, okay, yeah, we're doing business like that, but we need some more policy work around it. So that's why we don't go too far into it, but
Mm-hmm.
we make sure that we make the connection between the two governments, for example.
Okay.
At local level, we can start, and then after that, they can have a framework that can be national, things like that. So Guadeloupe was one of them. And also, I remember 5 years ago, Canada was one of them. And that was a private sector company from Canada. From the question, I'm thinking about something that might be interesting is a database of interested or companies that are working in it
Mm-hmm.
in the sector. I'm thinking now about one maybe one aspect of it. So putting up a database including these institutions that contacted us or are interested, and make sure that it is public.
Mm-hmm.
This might be an action that we need to take. So I'm definitely gonna work on that.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
My next question for you is obviously the challenges and opportunities in climate change adaptation. The aspect of like, Haiti is prone to natural disasters. It's, temperature increase, decrease in the precipitation, which is funny. I was discussing recently with someone how there was an avis that went out where I forgot where exactly in Haiti, where the mayors basically gave this farmer papers to evacuate the community because they believed that he was the cause of why there was no rain. And it showcased, which is sad. It showcased that like there's a lot of education that needs to happen within the sector to teach people about climate change, why it is important. Um,
Yeah.
and there are like very great opportunities there. So could you maybe shed on UNDP's engagement in initiatives like replanting forests or to protect against climate change in facilitating communities and building climate resilience agri-food system, I guess, in Haiti?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, sure. We do work on this is again the climate change adaptation actions. So work on biodiversity, ecosystem adaptation, and the approach of ecosystem-based adaptation is key also for a lot of our initiatives. First, the first reason I would say it's because it's more sustainable. The ecosystem-based adaptation is when you are treating or preserving, managing your watersheds and using reforestation and agroforestry. So you
Mm-hmm.
use the ecosystems and natural ecosystems to make sure that your watershed it's becoming more sustainable and more resilient to climate change. So this is one of the initiative that we apply or that we do on the field based on ecosystem-based adaptation actions. Watershed in Trois-Rivières, in the Northwest region, in the North region, and also in the South region. So we are kind of on different big watershed that really were evaluated as being vulnerable, even though we have lots of other ones,
Mm-hmm.
but priorities were given there. But also the work on community awareness is key, as you were saying, and the tools that are used is not only are not only awareness and education session or activities, but also we use the community land use planning and also the contingency plan at communal level as tools to get the community to understand the risk that surround them
Mm-hmm.
and also how they can manage them. So that's why you're gonna hear and see people talking about multi-risk mapping. That is an approach and a tool that we UNDP will apply on the ground with the Civil Protection Directorate and also Ministry of Environment, of
Mm-hmm.
Planning, and the local authorities to look at first, look with the community and the group, what are the risks, what are the hazards? And from that, you look at the risk and you see that the people that are engaged in that process are more aware. And it's not like a surprise for them when someone is saying that you shouldn't be building your house there.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, later upon with him.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that, but it's a matter of life. It's a matter of security,
Mm-hmm.
and human security is key. Is at the center of everything that we are doing in UNDP. So looking at that, looking at those tools and how you can have them being, even though it's a scientific tool, but being used at local level and with basic knowledge is key for sustainability and also continuity of the work with the population and their safety first. So they get really engaged and they do what they have to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a forced action. It's not that, but they see it, they understand it, and sometimes they are the one telling you that um, 3 years or 2 years before you came, I had this issue. I didn't understand why I had this issue with my cultures, with my land. But now I understand because it's more prone to flood, it's more prone to drought. So this is something that makes the sometimes the farmer
Mm-hmm.
more aware of the hazards, the risk, and the potential impact, both social and economics. You
Mm.
know, so this is key, I think. And what we do in the United Nations system is to make sure that other agencies also apply these tools
Mm-hmm.
with the communities that they are supporting.
That's wonderful. And honestly, like thank you for even like mentioning like you touched on something as you were talking. I
Mhm.
realized that, like when I was in Haiti, there was like a big commotion on there was like a bad rain, a flood, and it just so happened like the people decided to build their homes inside of I don't know the exact word in English, but inside of a ravine.
Mm.
And there was the flood basically took their house
Yeah.
while it was like on its actual path. And
Mhm.
there was the blame, they were blaming the government when it's just in reality the government told them not to build there because it's
Exactly.
the pathway for the water, you know.
Exactly.
So with that comes the whole aspect that you said security is key, as well as like the educational aspect of things, you know, implementing and working with local grassroots local organizations on the ground, so that they then maybe like include their experience, share their
Mhm.
experience, as well as like, you know, create this sense of like a spider web, a spider
Yeah.
web in a way, like just, you know, grabbing people's attention and really educated them. And you guys are doing just that. I guess my next question to you would be like, how does the conversation on climate justice apply to
Mhm.
Haiti? And what responsibilities do more industrialized nations have to this
Mhm.
regard?
The first point would be the participation of Haiti in the international discussion in terms of climate justice. And what we found is that being part of the LDC group,
Mm-hmm.
uh, the least developed country group, in the COP, the COP is the Conference of Parties that is held every end of the year. Last year it was in Dubai. Everybody was crazy about going to Dubai. So yeah, so being part of the discussion is the first step that I find the Ministry of Environment doing a good job in
Mm-hmm.
that. They have representative in each of these group, LDC group, the SEEDS group, the Small Island Developed States group, the Francophone group, because you have to also uh, look at this pattern with being similar from Haiti to African countries that are Francophone. So being part of the Francophone group is also another advantage for Haiti.
Yeah.
Recently, we worked on introductive study on climate security.
Mm-hmm.
And this is another layer that we are adding to the discussion to make aspect of climate impacts on the country, on Haiti. So climate justice will be not only for um, economic or any other loss and damage analysis that we might do, but also on the um, not physical, but also psychological. I don't know if it's the right word, but how it impacts the population in terms of psychological threats, I would say.
Okay.
So this is something that is being discussed, is being put forward. And I know some journalists have been thinking and putting out some good papers on climate justice, not only for Haiti but other countries.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to continue this group approach, and I think this will make more noise and make sure that the more developed countries and industrialized countries are responding to what should be their responsibility.
I
So I
agree.
think this is important. And last year, I think it's one way also to look at that and to make sure that the vulnerable countries that are so impacted by climate change, but not being the first big emitter, would have a fund that take that into account.
Nice. I mean, the day that happens, I think that would trigger a big conversation. And I do agree that like when it comes to climate justice, Haiti does need to be vocalized and need to be
Yeah.
included. It's just a matter of time, as well as it's a matter of like having a good leadership that actually can really stand up for what it is. I guess like the actual mission of the
Yeah.
country.
Yeah. Sure.
I think
Sure.
my last question for you is, what is like looking in the near future, even within the presence, because right now you're in Port-au-Prince with all the chaos happening.
Yeah.
But like, what is the plan of action for climate change? Like, how can you tell someone in Port-au-Prince to think about climate change when they are in the situation that they are currently in? And how can you tell, I guess, people that cannot even feed their own kids, like they're starving and whatnot? How can you tell them that to think about climate change when they're over here thinking about how am I going to survive the next day?
I'm a positive person, but so even though we have the situation now, so I'm trying to stay positive also and to look at the more optimistic way to put it. I think we need to um, use or take that as an opportunity to talk about climate change adaptation as a tool to overcome security issues, to overcome economic issues, social issues. Because when you look at the peace building initiatives that we have in some communities, it's a way for leaders, local leaders and national leaders, it's a way for them to get the communities together and work on one common
Goal.
objective.
Yeah.
Yeah, goal. So you can look at restoring a small watershed or restoring something that is near a ravine, for example. You look at it as a common goal to make sure that we hope for a better future through that activity. And at the same time, restoring this ecosystem is leading us to better adaptation to climate change. Or another example, you have a community and you have an area where they live, and you make it as a goal to have a sustainable land use planning where you say that this part of the population have this, they have this responsibility and this thing to do, things like that. So everybody is getting around one goal, and this goal has some good objective, good actions that make their community and their land more sustainable. So getting this as an opportunity, I think, is key to prevent being hopeless and to prevent keeping climate change at the top as a scientific word that some people think is not attainable. You see, so putting it on the ground, getting a common goal that includes social cohesion, that include security issues, conflict management. For example, for water, you may have this as a common goal. So you look at development, at sustainable development, but also you look at peace and you look at social cohesion. And all this is contributing to climate change adaptation. So this is, for me, this is a good way to put and to look at climate change action in Haiti in that context that we are living now.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. And as far as like climate change vulnerabilities, as far as like the plan of action for the future, and obviously like, you know, us as the diaspora, as you mentioned, we need to come across just one plan of action, one mission, one goal, and really stick behind it. And I believe like it's not necessarily related to climate change, but it is related to water sovereignty, which is the canal situation that bringing people together, and that in itself is one common goal that the Haitian diaspora, the Haitian community decide to really get behind. And I think for the future, as you said, we need to maintain that sense of l'union fait la force.
Yeah, sure.
We need
And
to maintain that.
and you said it's not climate change. It is climate change action because you do have drought threats that is part of climate change because you have longer period of drought and you have longer period of floods. So when you have the flood, the land doesn't have time, the soil doesn't have time to get the water. You just have it like this. And having a sustainable agriculture that is benefiting from the water from the canal is something that is critical for sustainable development in Haiti, for economic, but also for climate change, because the agriculture if you don't have the canal, if you don't have that water available to water the plantation, your plantation will be more and more vulnerable to drought, and the drought is part of the climate change impact. So we are making climate change action.
Exactly. Thank you for joining me today, and I wish nothing but the best for you and for us to continue our, I guess, like our relationship here.
Thank you. Yeah,
And I guess like another plan of action that you mentioned is putting the list of I guess the
the
database
database.
organization already underground doing the work when it comes to
Yeah,
risk management. I actually I'm looking forward to see it.
yeah, yeah. I will
Um,
work on it.
and at the same time, and I cannot wait to maybe get you on future panels as well.
Yeah. Sure, sure. Looking forward to that. Thank you so
Awesome.
much for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right then. Bye.
All right, bye.